So much. First of all, members of the Fourth Estate, thank you for being with us from the beginning of this process. Many people have been really worried about the preparations now that we're getting into the ELNINO season. It coincides with our recruitment, which has been going on over time, of environmental officers and staff who are going to help us. And you've seen that we are hiring 3,500. We've already hired 2,500 young people today. They have been commissioned. Another 1,000 are coming in a few days. Our team has mapped out, our mobility team together with the works team and disaster team. They have mapped out areas that are hotspots. There are very many. I can't list all of them, but we will give you the details in every sub-county. Areas which have been prone to flooding, areas where there have been landslides, and based on the pattern and the expected rainfall, and the meteorological department is going to brief us. In some of the areas we'll have to evacuate people. Some people will have to move, from the areas where they're living, especially in the informal settlements. But we don't want to move them too early, in anticipation of something, because we don't have alternative accommodation for them. But as we monitor, when it gets close to that very heavy rainfall, we'll move them either to churches, we'll move them to our halls, our social halls, and we'll have to feed them when they're there. We have to provide for them food, mattresses, we have to provide blankets, but we hope it doesn't have to get to that, We've also said that those who have illegally encroached on drainage, illegally encroached on facilities that are meant to make the city flow and water flow, I have instructed the ward admins and sub-county admins and inspectorate team not to have any negotiations with them, to issue enforcement notices immediately, and by Friday to have removed all of those structures. We will not allow the selfishness of a few people to cause damage of lives and livelihoods of millions of Nairobians. So if you know yourself that what structure you've put it in the wrong place, it is easier ujitolee mapema kabla si tuje tutoe. Kwa sababu labda utaweza kunusuru vitu zako. We're not going to do any of that at night. Tutakutolea mchana waziwazi ili watu waone, because watu wamezoea impunity, kufanya vitu ambayo haitakikani. Ya mwisho pia tunahimiza watu wa Nairobi, please tuache kutupa takataka ovyo ovyo. The penalties for illegal dumping are going to be very high. You have seen right over here when we have done the flushing in this drainage, what has come out? It is plastic bottles, it is papers, it is trash that is put in the wrong place. These young people who we've gotten will be cleaning. We'll put skips in the right places in our markets, and we'll give Nairobians a schedule of when to bring out the garbage for it to be collected. Until that has been issued, please, let's be responsible with how we take care of the environment. Ni jukumu letu. This is our city. The whole world is looking at Nairobi. The other week we had the entire Africa and the rest of the world. They were here and they were very happy. But it had to take us a lot of work. We burnt the midnight oil just cleaning the access to the city. It must be daily. It must be continuous. So even though tutafanya. Yes, the report on unsafe buildings, we'll let the building inspectorate release it. It has been done with the Ministry of Lands and Housing. There were around, I think, 600 of such buildings. There are some which can be brought back to integrity, structural integrity, but those which are completely irreparable, we will have to move people out of those. Some of them are in Uruma, some of them are in Madare, some of them are in Embakasi East. We will have to move people out of them and give them the notices, because their lives are worth more than that building. So that will also be published, and the media will really need you to work with us. A lot of this needs public information. So when you give you information, please publish it as it is. When we give you the hotspots, ni vizuri watu wajue, tutangaze kwa radio, tuweke kwa TV. Si yote msitucharge advertisement, hiyo ni public, inaitwa PSA, public service announcement, which is very important. It's not a documentary or an advertisement. Yes, ndugu. Then I'll come to you. Yes, Kayemba, I know you. How much have we set aside? Well, there's a lot of money that is already in the sectors, and so it's hard to put a figure. For instance, you've seen the trucks. We bought 27 new tippers. I have another 24 refuse compactors that are being fabricated. We've bought 8 backhoes. We've bought so it's a whole list of equipment. We can give you the figures. Of course, part of that is the salaries of these young people who've come on board. That is also part of the budget. But a lot of it is multi-sectoral. So we expect the ministry to also support us in some areas. For instance, if you look at this road, this is a Kenha corridor. That must be done by the national government, but we'll give them manpower. So there's no specific figure. It's not one activity. Many of the work is being done by officers who are already within the county government. In mobility, our engineers, we have another 50 engineers who've come on board. So there's no specific figure. It is our work that we do daily. So that's all within our county budget.
How long will we be engaged with
the young people are employed. So they work every day. From now until the Lord comes back. Yeah. So they're here with us. The problem in Nairobi, those who used to do environmental work were last hired in the 80s. So they have, natural attrition. Some have passed on, some have retired. Many are above 55. They are old and they don't have the energy. And so we needed to employ environmental officers who can now come, who are younger, between 18 and 28, who can come in and do that work. So we have started with a contract, but we hope to see them becoming completely permanent and pensionable, because Nairobians need those services. The city needs to be cleaned every day. It is not a one-off event. And it's not being done just because of El Nino. Because this hiring process started a long time ago, we had to provide it for it in the budget of Nairobi County, our budget estimates. We had to make sure that the new staff have been provided for. These vehicles you've seen could not have been procured in a day. It was also a process of budget and to make sure that they have come. So it's more or less, a coincidence that all of this is happening at the same time. But I want to assure Nairobians, within the next 2-3 months, this city will be sparkling clean, and Nairobi will not be the same again. Yeah. Maybe 2 more. Yes, Mary.
I wanted to know, you did mention that we have a number of community health volunteers.
Yes.
Do we have any arrangements with our health facilities, and are they equipped to deal with any cholera or waterborne?
Yes. Part of that task force or multi-sectoral team has also our health officers. You saw the chief officer, Nyakaba of public health. He sits there. We've made sure that we've looked at the state of our facilities, first of all, to make sure also our facilities have the medicines that are required in case of waterborne diseases. But beyond that, our CHVs, we have 7,460 community health volunteers who are now going around sensitizing the public on what to be done. Because a lot of this is prevented through public information. So as days move along, you'll see each of them is in charge of 100 households. They will be issuing that information. Please let us cooperate with our CHVs, with our environmental staff, with our ward admins and sub-county admins. But we are ready. Even the facilities themselves being in a state to have people. Of course, we don't expect a lot of damage, but as we say, we hope for the best but prepare for the worst. That is prudent disaster management. Yeah.
Last one.
Helen, from the Nation Media Group.
Yeah. From?
Nation Media Group.
Yes.
I'd like to know, areas that have not been marked out as hotspots, how should people report in case a flash flood comes about?
So in case of any emergency, our emergency number is 1508 that you can call. We will be publishing it. We're going to put it online, on TV, on radio, so people know which number to call. When you call that number, it will direct you based on your emergency. If your emergency needs evacuation, in case of flash floods, of course we'll be able to send the right appropriate team. I think you've seen the equipment that we have. We are well facilitated. We have our fire officers, we have our environmental staff. So in case of any emergency, please feel free to speak to the county. We're working with the telecom providers, Safaricom and Airtel, to give us a simpler 3-digit number where all Nairobians can remember, and can be able to use it. We have engaged a call center down in a sort area that is going to offer those services. Our young people are going to be there to answer any questions and any queries that the people have. But we must be ready. But again, I must repeat, it is our joint responsibility for us to be responsible as the people of Nairobi, because a lot of what is causes flooding, it is human interventions, especially on the dumping and on encroachment. So please msianze kupiga nduru mkiona officers wetu wamekuja na wanakuambia toka hapa. It is for your own good, and will not let anybody take advantage of that movement from where you're not supposed to be. Yes, ndugu.
Yes, so during these times you usually see small-scale traders, maybe in the open-air markets, having a hard time. So are there measures to push on these small traders in the open-air market, maybe in Guru or yeah?
Not yet. Really, apart from what our sectors were doing, creating the backseats for them and covering, because normally now when there's rain they can't trade. We have issues of food coming into the county. Beyond providing for that, we just need resilience. Really, we need resilience, and we need people to be prepared. for any eventuality. Let's not have panic buying. You know, that is also the other thing that happens sometimes. During COVID, people went and bought all the tissue paper. I don't know why, but people went and bought all the tissue paper, and that itself was a disaster. So let us not have panic buying or anything. I think things will flow. This time there will be a difference. We've seen El Nino before. I remember 1997. I remember also some of the floods in 2015, which were pre-El Nino. This time I think we have to learn from the mistakes of the past and be ready. Yeah.
Maybe do you have a special team to deal with this, or is it just a combined effort?
No, it's a special team. You've seen the young people there. We have our officers. We are working with what we call the Nairobi Hub. So that is the Red Cross, the World Food Program, the NDOC. So it's a multi-agency model between the Nairobi County and also certain elements from the national government to help Nairobi to get it moving. Because in as much as this is a county, this is a seat of the national government. It's a seat of the president, and so they will not just sit back and watch us, struggling to get things right. They're also supporting us. Of course, most of the resources are coming from the county, but where we need help, we will be able to ask from the national government. Yeah. La mwisho.
Naje kutoka leo utawahitaji muda gani kusema kuwa kaunti ya Nairobi iko tayari iwapo El Nino itaanza Oktoba kama ilivyokadiriwa, tuko tayari na hatutashuhudia mafuriko?
Kushuhudia mafuriko, unajua hiyo sasa ni beyond. Sisi tuko tayari. Lazima tufanye ile tunaweza kama binadamu na kama viongozi. Lazima tuhakikishe tumesafisha, tumefungua mitaro, tumetoa wale ambao wamejenga vibaya pahali hawafai kuwa, hawapaswi kuwa. Lakini kando ya hayo, kiwango ya mvua sisi hatuwezi control. Hiyo sasa ni ya Mungu. Sisi tufanye mambo yetu, tuhakikishe tumechunga maeneo yetu na mitaa. And we hope for the best, but we are prepared. Nairobi as it is, we are prepared as a county. Yeah. Asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki. And keep safe. Sawa. Keep safe.